Okay, I will go ahead and call this a meeting to order. This is the City of San Diego Commission on Police Practices Ad Hoc Transition Planning Committee meeting of Friday, the 23rd, 2022. In attendance are myself, Chair of the Committee and Acting Chair of the Commission, Diana Dent, a member of the committee and a commissioner, Kate Yavendetti, who was from Women Occupy, who was a liaison with San Diegans for Justice. We have Alina Conde, who is our executive assistant. We have Dave Niemeyer from CPS HR. Did I get that correct? Our executive search firm. And Commissioner Nancy Vaughn, who is a member of the committee, just indicated that she'll be joining us shortly. And our executive director is on holiday vacation today, so she will not be joining us. And did we receive any public comment, Alina?
No, there's no public comment.
Okay, so we can just scroll up a little bit. Nothing new on the budget process other than Rob and Charmaine and I met with the finance staff this past week to go over some of the budget items in preparation for the budgeting process and their mid-year report. Staffing, we are making progress on two of our searches. We have David here. One search is near completion. I think a tentative job offer has been made to one of the candidates, and beyond that, I don't have any additional information unless Dave or Alina do.
Doug, just to say that we've been in discussions with the top candidate. San Diego will need to be doing a background check, which, you know, will take, obviously with the holidays, at least a few days, if not more than a week or so. But we're actively in discussions with the top candidate, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to make an announcement.
Okay,
and then which position is that?
That's the I'm sorry, the community engagement coordinator. Okay, and so hopefully we'll be able to, and we can't announce who the person is until the city gives its blessing, but hopefully that'll happen shortly after the beginning of the new year. We are conducting interviews for the supervising investigator. So far we have interviewed 3 people. Is that right, Dave?
Yes. Yep.
And one person, 2 of the 5, or was it 3 of the 5? Well, 2 of the 5 withdrew. Is that correct? And then one person.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We've actually interviewed 2. 2 of the 5 withdrew. The other one had just some personal issues to deal with, so we're going to be rescheduling that interview after the first of the year with that person. And we're continuing to do outreach on that position, even as we're doing interviews.
Okay, and so yeah, so we, you know, given that 2 of the 5 withdrew, we made a decision, both the committee and Dave and Charmaine's concurrence, that we need to expand the search. I have given David some leads of individuals, Jason Wechter and Barbara Attard, who may have some leads for him, and Andrea St. Julian also contacted Sharon. I forget Sharon's last name, but she is a oversight consultant, and she came up with several suggestions, which I think were passed along to David. And we also gave him some other people he may want to contact, including Paul over at CLURB. And so he's going to be following up on those leads to see if he can find any other candidates who may be interested in the position. So we may not be filling that position immediately in terms of sending it to the second interview. The second interview is going to be with Charmaine and Paul Parker, who is the executive officer of CLURB. So welcome, Nancy. And I don't know how much of that you heard, but to briefly indicate that we have a tentative offer to a person for the community engagement coordinator, and we are continuing interviews for the supervising investigator, but have decided to expand the search to get some additional candidates.
Okay, thank you.
And nothing new on standing rules or community outreach. We did have 2 meetings in the past week with city council members. We met with, or I met with Raul Campillo, expressing our concerns regarding the city selection process. He was very receptive to those concerns, and he indicated he was going to talk to some people and circle back with me. And so hopefully that will happen soon, probably after the first of the year. We do have requests in for follow-up meetings with the council president, Shawnilo Rivera, and the council president pro tem, Monica Montgomery Stepp. And we haven't heard back yet, and I don't anticipate that we'll hear back before the first of the year, given that it's the holiday recess. I did have a really good meeting on just a couple of days ago with Kent Lee, who is the new council member from District 6, the only new member of the council. And so I gave him a overview of the process in terms of basically an overview of the CRB and the CPP and the differences and the entire transition process, and also indicated gave him a specific update regarding our proposed operating procedures regarding the nomination process for commissioners and the selection of the permanent executive director. And I don't know if anybody's had a chance to work on operating procedures. I had the best intentions of working on mine this week, but circumstances got in the way, and I probably won't work on it this next week. But as you will recall, I'm working on the procedures for the review of internal affairs investigations, and I don't know if anybody else has had a chance to work on their assignments or not. Okay, if not, you're forgiven. And I put on the agenda the recruitment and nominations process. I don't really have much to report other until I hear back from council member Campillo and the council president and the council president pro tem. And so that basically leaves us to discuss today the timeline, because the timeline needs to be updated. And if you have a copy of it, Alina, can you share it? If not, I can pull it up from my computer.
Yes, I have it.
Okay. So I'm not sure whether any of you had a chance to look at it between when I sent it out, was it yesterday or day before and today? But I did have a couple of comments. And okay, and if you can make it a little bit larger and then scroll down to the present on the okay, so Alina, can you hear me?
Oh my goodness. I apologize. Is it still?
And now we can't hear you again.
Uh-oh.
Now we can hear you. Okay.
Oh, okay. I apologize for that. I don't.
Yeah, it's not just sharing again. So if you can put it back up and then make it a little bit larger and then scroll down to the present.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, let's see. Can you see it?
We can, but it's a little small, at least on my screen. If you can make it a little bit larger.
Here we go.
Okay, that probably is good enough. Is that big enough for everybody else? Okay, so why don't you scroll down to December 2022? I thought I would just go step by step between now and the end. So I guess we can start. We have the recruitment for the community engagement coordinator and supervising investigator. And yeah, going August through December, we may need to change that. I probably should have put it on mine so that I can make the notes as we go along. But that's okay. I'll just make notes and go back and do it. And so for the recruitment process, we'll change that to let's say January, to give us time to expand the search.
Sorry, did you want me to make red line changes?
Yeah, why don't you do that? That might be easier. And so then you can send it to me afterwards, and that'll make it easier for me to follow up.
Okay. Sorry, I
And
didn't hear what it was. Was it change what? Part?
okay, now so where it says August to December 2022, recruitment for community engagement coordinator, supervising investigator, make it August 2022 and let's say January 2023.
Okay.
Okay. And I may go back and maybe separate out the two positions because one's taking longer. In October of this past year is already passed, and the city council adopted the implementation ordinance. Then the implementation ordinance took effect in November, and then in January, we're hoping that the city council will approve the operating procedure for the nomination of commissioners. And then in February, one of the things we have to do is develop an MOU with the police department regarding the sharing of records, since the ordinance is now in effect. Charmaine and I had a discussion with Internal Affairs about the need to get us all their cases within at least all the complaints within 5 days as required by the ordinance, and we're working on a process for doing that. Okay, and then December through April, I put the recruitment, selection, and appointment process for the permanent commissioners, including the independently conducted background checks. And so that kind of is a key date because a lot of things can't happen until we have the permanent commissioners. And then between November and March 2023, we would have the hiring process, including the onboarding for community engagement coordinator and supervising investigator. And then our next search, which would begin in January, and we have that going through May, would be the hiring and onboarding of the deputy executive director, the policy analyst, and the performance auditor. And the plan was to do the deputy executive director first, since that person would be supervising the policy analyst and performance auditor and may be involved in the selection process. And then this March, we have the development of the fiscal year 24 budget proposal. April and May, we have the training of the new commissioners. April, we have the staff moving into the new office. If you want to scroll it up a little bit, and feel free to stop me if you have any questions or suggestions. The permanent commission, and this is a change in the previous timeline, and I see your hand. I'll go back to you in a second, Kate. That the permanent commission will submit their operating procedures, and the ones that are have an asterisk by them are ones that are going to require a meet and confer. And so in the previous timeline, it envisioned that the selection process and the investigation procedures would happen concurrently, which would speed up the ability to do investigations. But the ordinance itself says that the procedures have to be approved by have to be sent to the city council for approval by the permanent commission. And so, Kate, did you have a question or suggestion?
I have two questions. One is to be clear. So once the new commissioners are selected, the people who are currently interim commissioners are out. Is that right? So so my real question is, I mean, that's part of my real question. The other part of it is that if you have new commissioners and then you have a training process, but you still have work that needs to be done, how is that transition going to be accomplished? Is there I'm assuming that you can't keep interim people on while the new people who have already been appointed, because there's supposedly the full complement of 25, are not going to be there. So
that's a good question.
This sort of this vague process where they're not really trained yet, but they've got work to do?
Yes. So I get to answer your first question. The implementation ordinance envisions all 25 being appointed at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently there is a email or communication being sent to the people who have applied indicating that the appointments will be made on a rolling basis. I don't quite know what that means. That's part of the questions that I have. And
yeah, that's a problem, right?
And if it's on a rolling basis, I don't know whether that means that the interim commissioners would continue. But the interim commissioners don't really have assigned seats that are, that match up to the permanent commission. So I don't have a exact answer to that, other than the ordinance envisions, as it's written, envisions that there would be a whole new commission appointed together. And yes, that would mean that before they could begin some of their duties, they would need to be trained. Presumably some of the former commissioners and the current staff, and perhaps others, would be involved in that training process. But my guess is that there would be a pause in review of cases until the new commissioners are trained.
And my second question is, and I guess this is kind of a done deal at this point, but it is still the intention that the deputy executive director will be hired before the new permanent executive director.
That is what the commission voted on.
Yeah, and that's still the deal. And there was some conversation about how if the new executive director, does the new executive director then have any, I don't quite know what the right word is, but any say in whether that deputy executive director continues on as their right-hand person when they have not had a say in their selection?
Well, I guess yes and no. I mean, it's an at-will position, but it's not easy to dismiss a city employee.
Right.
So I'll leave it at that. The argument was made by some that that
Myself included,
that the position should wait until there's a permanent executive director.
right?
And
And we
well,
lost.
yeah, and that did not prevail. And so unless the commission, did we lose Nancy, or is I'm just not? Oh, she's there. She's showing on my screen.
So,
Yeah. So unless the commission chooses to change course on that, this is what is planned. And I guess part of the counter argument was that this position will be supervising the performance auditor and the policy analyst, and should be involved in the selection. So it's kind of the same argument from two different angles. But anyway, this is predicated upon the vote that the commission took, and so unless the commission chooses to revisit that, that is the way we'll be proceeding. And anyway, so so we would have in May, the new commission would adopt their differing procedures. And there probably would be some discussion too of, for example, the procedures of how they're going to review cases, because
at the same time they're being trained, Doug. I'm
Right.
sorry. This is hysterical.
well, I mean, they have to. I mean, according to the ordinance, they have to propose it. We're going to propose to them. So most of the things that are included in the proposed operating procedures are things we're working on now to propose to them. But they have the option of making revisions in that before they present it to the city council. And so if they concur with our recommendations, then they can be trained accordingly. And if not, much of the training is not necessary, can be done without having the investigation procedures finalized. But yeah, you identify
I mean, all of those procedures, I mean, that's the core of the operation of this commission.
right.
And I would suggest that we at least move that line item where it says permanent commission submits proposed operating procedures to June, so they at least get through the 2 months of training that we're talking about. It just seems to me like that.
Okay, how do others feel?
I just think it's not possible. That's all my feeling is.
I agree with Nancy.
Okay, then Lena, if you could redline that and make that June. Okay. And then the meet and confer process then would need to change from June to October. I'm sorry, from June instead of May to October.
Why did we give the police department 5 months in this process?
Well, it's not the police department, it is the employee relations department, and it's not the department that's involved in the meet and confer. It's the Police Officers Association.
Oh, that's what I mean. Right.
And as you know, the process takes time, and especially when there's going to be contentious issues, and I can guarantee you there will be issues they will raise regarding the investigation procedures and discipline recommendations. And so frankly, the 5 months may be optimistic, but we don't have control over that. And so it's not us giving them that, it's how long the process takes. But the next item is the recruitment, hiring, and onboarding of the staff investigators. And I guess one benefit of moving the approval of the procedures back a month is that it also gives the supervising investigator more time to work on reviewing the proposed procedures. And then May is the budget hearing. And then June is when they approve the budget. Okay, and then the new commission will be responsible for putting forward the operating procedure for the permanent executive director. We had proposed doing that as a package with the nomination procedure, but we got feedback that that procedure can wait and therefore should wait. Since the new commission will be the ones that will be in charge of it. But that procedure is already, already been reviewed and developed by the council, by the commission, and there seems to be a high degree of concurrence within the city council that it's a good procedure. And then after the city council blesses the procedure, there would be a national search and selection and appointment for a permanent executive director. And Charmaine indicated, and she probably is right, that that probably is not enough time for the process to be completed. Maybe but I don't want to put too much time there. Maybe December of 2023. Do people, maybe Dave can weigh in on, or did Dave already leave?
Yeah, and I'm gone.
And so what do people think about putting a December of 2023 instead of November? Because that then gives you basically July, August, September, October, November. That gives you 6 months to complete the process. I think that's plenty of time.
What was Charmaine's concern to make it longer than 5 months, Doug?
She thought that there wasn't enough time to do a national search. I don't know what, Alina, do you have her email up?
How long did it take us to find her?
Longer than that.
That's what I thought. And we probably won't be, it probably won't be able to start before July since the approval of the procedure is scheduled for June.
Right. And so, yeah, it would be late June. And so were you able to find that email?
Yeah, the one with her comments for
Yeah.
from the timeline?
Yeah.
Yes,
Do you mind reading them to us?
yes. So she said, thank you, Doug, for revising the timeline. Okay, so will the searches for the mediation coordinator and the general counsel be conducted by the search firm? If so, then the timeline needs to change to at least 6 months for each search.
Okay. Well, actually, she was referring to the other searches, and so thank you for that. But on the other hand, the executive director search will probably take longer than the others. And so let's change that to December 2023. Okay, and then scroll down. And then we can begin the training for the staff investigators. That would not change. Okay. The city council approves the operating procedures after the meeting confer. Can you scroll back up to see how long we said? Said October. Okay, so scroll back down and let's change that September to October. Okay, and then we can put October of 2023 as when we can begin investigations. Okay, and then the question that she had was whether we would use a search firm for the mediation coordinator and the general counsel. And again, that'll be a decision to be made by the permanent commission. My sense is that we definitely would want to use a national search firm for the general counsel. I was thinking we could do a traditional, city search for the mediation coordinator. But even so, it may be a little bit optimistic to do that in September and October. So maybe put it September to November. Okay, and then so change the next one 1 month each. So December through April. Okay, and then even if we're going, scroll back up, we're planning on getting the executive director. Well, we had that December, so scroll down. So we probably need to add a month to the. So put January through Feb. Well, I'm sorry. Ignore what I just said. So so hiring of the mediation coordinator, the mediation programs established. Okay, and then no, I was right. Okay, so we would do the selection hiring of the general counsel would be started in January of 2024. I don't think it should be 6 months, but it probably should be several months. So if David were here, he could give us a sense, but how does January through May of 2024 sound? Does that sound realistic to folks?
Probably close.
Okay, and I think that's the end.
So the general counsel is a full-time position, right?
Correct.
It's not contract, full-time salaried.
Full-time salaried in-house person.
Well, it will take a while to fill that position.
Do you think January through May is enough
Yeah,
time?
I think that's fine. Yeah, I was gonna, when you originally had 2 or 3 months, because somebody hired into that position is presumably going to be in another practice and has to close that up, and it will take time.
Okay. And so Lena, if you can send that to me, because I promised to send Kent Lee a copy of this after this committee had looked at it, because he asked for the timeline and I told him we were working on it. I think it would be good to send it out to the rest of the commission as an information item. Again, it doesn't really require their approval. And it may change a little bit depending upon what timeline it is actually implemented for the selection of the permanent commissioners. But I think I think it would be helpful to send it out to maybe the current commission and the city council members, just so everybody has a good sense of what the process is for full implementation. And
So I assume the commission is not meeting this month?
That's
Open
correct.
session? Yeah.
And okay, so if you can send that to me, Alina, and then I think it'd be better to wait until after the first of the year so it doesn't get lost in the holiday mail, to send it out to as an information item. To the rest of the commission and the city council, and as is indicated at the top, this is intended to be a planning document, and it changes. As you can see, we're at version 12, and the timeline tends to get longer, not shorter. But I think we're reaching the end, and personally, I think that the timeline, I mean, that the time frame that we have here is reasonable. And but we'll see how things play out. We've been surprised in the past as well, but at least we have a path forward. And I think that was the last item on the agenda. I recommend that we not meet next week unless
I thought we would want to celebrate my birthday.
well, my birthday was this past was this past week. My birthday was on Tuesday. When is your birthday?
31st.
Oh, so you're
Everybody celebrates it.
and well, we can celebrate Kate's birthday without having a meeting. And
We'll just send you some happy birthday wishes.
Yeah,
okay.
I appreciate that.
And why is Nancy not showing on my? It should on my screen. That's weird.
Mm,
But Nancy's here still, right?
Yeah, I moved her over. I think it kicked her off for a quick second and then she came back.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, so why don't we plan on meeting the first? Welcome back, Nancy. The first Friday in January. I don't have my calendar in front of me, and my calendar only goes through the my physical calendar only goes to the end of December. Alina, do you have a calendar that you can look at?
Yeah, the first Friday in January is
Gonna be the 6th.
Okay, and then hopefully by then we will have some more feedback regarding the selection process for the permanent commissioners. And we may be able to have some look at the some of the operating procedures as well by that point in time. Anything else that we need to discuss at that meeting?
I have one comment about the mediation program, Doug.
Uh-huh.
We're likely to hit some real pushback from police department because they're only used to doing mediation themselves, right? They call it mediation, which is not what this group will be doing. I think it's going to take them a while to get used to that idea.
So I wonder, Elena, can you put back up the timeline? Because it may take a while to because the mediation also
Yes.
require a meet and confer. So where does it say mediation?
Right.
You think that's too ambitious?
I do. I think
Oh.
designing the program and getting its operating procedure set up is
then
going to be a bigger deal than you're letting it be. And then the meet and confer, I think that's going to take time.
Okay, so so what do you think? June?
Yes.
Okay, so Alina, can you change that to June?
Is it this one right here, hiring?
No, then one
One
underneath
below
there.
it,
Oh,
The
mediation program.
from December through April through June of 2024.
Thank you.
Did you get that?
Is it showing?
No.
Oh, no. Yes, I put December 2023 to June 2024.
Huh, okay, the change is not showing on our screen. That's weird.
Oh, no. Let me,
Don't worry about it. As long as it's on the one you send to me, then that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments?
Happy birthday, Kate.
Yes, and so we will all be thinking of
Thank
you
you.
at
I bet. On New Year's Eve, right? Everybody's gonna say, "Oh yes, Kate."
No, your birthday isn't New Year's Eve. Your birthday is New Year's Eve morning, right? What time of day were you born? Do you know?
9:30 p.m.
Oh, okay, so it really is New Year's Eve. And so well, I'll be thinking about you, Kate.
Yeah, right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Bye.
and have happy holidays, and we'll see everybody on January 6th is it's a terrible date. But it'll be
Happy holidays.
the January 6th committee.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Mm.
So anyway, with that, we'll adjourn. So thank you.
Thank you.